So I'm doing my presentation on light pollution and how it affects everything in our everyday life. So to start off, light pollution is defined as the presence of anthropogenic and artificial light in our night environment. And this presence of artificial light is considered anthropogenic because it is hazardous and completely caused by humans and their interactions. So artificial light looks like many things. So over here on the left, we see the New York City glow. This is New York City in the middle of the night, and since it is a big city, it projects a lot of artificial light into the environment. This is why it looks like the sun is shining. And then our middle picture, we have the picture of a small rural town which doesn't have a lot of artificial light, and then below that we have a metropolitan area which does have a lot of artificial light. And you can really see the difference because in the rural town you can see all of the stars in the galaxy, and then in the bottom picture it looks like a bare sky with no stars. And then on the right we have a satellite view of Paris in the middle of the night. Paris is also a very big area that has a lot of artificial light, so you can see in that map all of the light that is polluting the environment. So where does artificial light come from? Artificial light is light that comes from anything that isn't the sun or a natural source. This includes billboards, street lights, store logos, and more. As you can see, there's an Applebee's sign in the bottom left that is turned on at night when it doesn't need to be. The Target sign is turned on at night with street lights on the sidewalk. And up top, we have street lights that are on that don't really need to be on. So all of these lights are on at night, which is unnecessary and creates light pollution. And then why is artificial light harmful? It affects starlight, astronomical research, ecosystems, and our usage of energy. So light pollution affects starlight by decreasing our ability to see stars at night. This artificial light washes out the light produced by these stars, which makes the sky look like we don't have very many stars. And before light pollution, with our naked eye, we can even see the Milky Way galaxy and various constellations. And in this picture I have, it's a scale between inner city skies versus skies with little to no light pollution. And you can really see the difference between the inner city sky not having any stars, and then with the picture with no light pollution, you can see Jupiter and all of these stars and constellations. And how light pollution affects astronomical research: since there is so much light pollution and it washes out all of the stars in the sky, it creates a sky glow, which makes it hard to study any objects in the sky. Stars themselves can be very bright, but if there are more dim things in our sky, it makes it really hard for scientists to view them because the sky is always light. So this really limits their ability to study our sky. So light pollution affects the environment in many ways. Just to start with, the darkness itself creates a hormone called melatonin into our bodies, which makes us tired or fall asleep. This is why at night, if you're on your bright phone, it makes it hard to go to bed because you're not letting your body produce melatonin to help you go to sleep. So if there is light pollution, it delays the release of melatonin into our bodies and animals' bodies in our ecosystem. This affects all animals' sleep schedules, especially nocturnal animals. Nocturnal animals do have melatonin in their bodies, but it has a reverse effect. So nocturnal animals come out at night and they start their mornings at night, which means if it's light outside all the time due to light pollution, that makes it very hard for them to wake up and start their everyday routine. This can cause an issue to our environment because it affects the times that they come out, it affects other animals, and it affects their ability to eat, sleep, everything. Here are some of the main animals affected by light pollution. So in our area in Ohio, we see a lot of possums, coyotes, and bats. And speaking from my experience, I live in an older neighborhood that is not really near a lot of stores or anything, so I don't really have a lot of artificial light in my neighborhood. So I didn't have any street lamps or anything, so I used to drive home around 9 or 10 p.m. and I would see possums out walking on the road. I live on a very large area of land, so I'd see coyotes in my yard and bats and everything. But I recently got street lamps in my neighborhood, and there are some establishments built outside of my neighborhood that cause a lot of light pollution in my neighborhood. So now I really only see these animals around 2 a.m., and that's pretty late compared to their normal times. And then down in the bottom right, you can't really see it because my screen is covering it, but it's a sea turtle. And even though we don't have sea turtles in Ohio, light pollution really does affect them. because when sea turtles hatch out of their shells, they have to make it straight to the ocean so they don't get eaten by predators. And they used to do that at night because it's easier for them to not be seen. But now that there's so much light pollution, when they crawl to the ocean, it's light out, which makes them more like susceptible to getting eaten by predators, which is not good for them either. Light pollution also affects our usage of energy. So when stores are closed at night, they leave their signs turned on, which contributes a lot to light pollution. Like if you ever see like a strip mall, all of their logos are turned on, which is completely unnecessary, and it wastes a lot of energy and electricity. Stores could simply turn off their signs, which would save a lot of energy and prevent the light pollution, like I said. One simple change in our neighborhood that could help light pollution is the way we have our street lights. So there are different types of street lights, like non-cutoff, semi-cutoff, cutoff, and full cutoff. So in this picture I have right here, we can see the non-cutoff light shows light all around and projects it down and up towards the sky. Semi-cutoff projects it a little bit up into the sky but blocks the very top of the light. And then a cutoff light only shows light below the street lamp, which still can reflect up to the sky. And then the best possible solution we can have is a full cutoff light, which is a lamp that only allows light to go straight down underneath it. This reduces the reflection of the light going into our ecosystem, which will prevent light pollution. So I think that's a very good alternative that every community could have to like help decrease the amount of light pollution we put into our ecosystems. So in conclusion, light pollution is hurting our environments every day, and there are many simple alternatives that our communities could take into consideration, like turning off store lights or changing the lights we do have in our neighborhoods. And here's my works cited page with the links that I got all of my information from, and that is all.